Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 55 of B-Road Ballers, the review series for Gran Turismo's hot hatch lineup. And in this particular pick we're featuring a vehicle which in real life is kind of one of those hot hatches which isn't viewed all that well for the most part. And although you can kind of understand why, and I wouldn't necessarily disagree with those sentiments, it's still worth consideration. And the vehicle in question is a Volkswagen, of course, you'll have seen that from the title, and the particular model is the Golf Mk.4 GTi. Now, straight off the bat, the main reason why some people don't view this car as well as other Golf GTIs is fairly obvious. It's kind of an underwhelming car. Ever since its introduction, the Volkswagen Golf GTi was kind of a benchmark of what hot hatches should and could be. The Mark 1, 2 and 3 were all decent hot hatches. The first one was excellent, the second one was still pretty good, the third one tailed off a little bit but was still extremely popular. This one though kind of dropped the ball a little bit because the stock specs on this particular vehicle just aren't that impressive. It also doesn't really look the part. The Mk.4 GTi is kind of a sleeper as far as hot hatches go. It produces less than 150 horsepower, and although that's not strictly speaking bad, it's not exactly the kind of power that really stands up in that category in the modern day. Consider the rivals that it has, stuff like the Ford Focus ST170 and a variety of others. They pretty much all have more power than that. Now, it's not a bad car, as I said, it's still a very popular model, and overall, I love the Mk.4 Golf. I think it's probably my favourite generation of Golf overall, specifically because of the R32, which is my favourite Golf ever. The GTI, though, just doesn't deliver in the way that the R32 does, not in its standard form. At least it's too understated, it's too run-of-the-mill, it's just not hot enough for a hot hatch. But I also said that this car is worth consideration, so why is that the case? Well, one of the reasons why I would say that this car is deserving of consideration is for the exact same reasons. It's not that impressive, it's underwhelming. It doesn't look that eye-catching, and it's probably, from a popularity point of view, the weakest of all Golf GTIs. That makes it a perfect sleeper. It's got a 1.8 litre turbo engine, front-wheel drive, puts out 380 horsepower fully tuned, which certainly isn't bad. It's not up there with, say, the Audi S3, Focus STs, etc., but it's still certainly not bad. It puts out 307 foot-pounds of torque, which is most definitely not bad. In fact, that's higher than a lot of other hot hatches, and it's reasonably lightweight. It's not ridiculously light, but 1,047 kilos certainly isn't bad. As far as horsepower per tonne, you're looking at 363 in its fully tuned form, which isn't too bad given the power that it has to work with, and the PP is actually higher than you'd probably think it would be. Given that it has 380 horsepower to work with, you'd probably assume that the PP would be maybe in the 490s. It's actually 503, and for its power, that seems a little high, given that it doesn't have the kind of power of many other hot hatches, and also because it just doesn't look like the kind of car that would have a PP that's that high. Now, for the price of just under 32 grand, there's not really that much room for error. It's not a huge amount of money to pay out, even if it isn't that great. But is it really worth actually going out of your way to buy? Well, I would say this is a hot hatch which, apart from being a premium, which is one of the most random premium cars in the game, I really don't understand why they chose to make this a premium. Of all of the Golf GTIs, it's the least deserving of being a premium, but for whatever reason they did decide to do that, and as such, it's a vehicle which definitely isn't the strongest of hot hatches all round, but I don't think anyone would really expect it to be. But what it does offer is a reasonable price, surprisingly good performance for its power, given that it's not as powerful as many of its rivals, and something of a sleeper package, because the handling on this car is good, not superb, but good. The straight line performance is good for its power, especially for acceleration, and overall it's actually a pretty decent lower PP racer for say 425 to around 475 PP. It's not a bad car at all. Now, I'm not saying that this car is some mind-blowing unsung hero. It's not. But what it is a cheap, under-the-radar sleeper. And in the hot hatch category, there actually aren't that many of those. In the sedan category, there are lots of sleeper cars. In the hot hatch category, there really isn't. Most of them are defined by boy racer image. They're all about looking the part and being eye-catching. So to find one that actually is understated is something of a rarity. So although I wouldn't recommend this car for everyone, certainly not, if you are looking to try something different, certainly something understated, or if you are just a sleeper car fan in general, then you may want to check out the Mk.4 GTi. And it does, as you can see from the video, have some interesting and pretty good looking, I would say, visual upgrades as well. But that's overall for this particular pick. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.